evolution of fish. So if we talk about things that swim through the ocean or fresh water, lakes and streams that have backbones, that might have fins, fish go all the way back to the Cambrian. So they have a long and uninterrupted and glorious history. Yeah. Okay. So here's so I'll be referring to this chart in various times in history. So back here in the Cambrian, so this is a chart with geological ages and families and families of animals that are derived from fishes. That's 50 families there. That's how wide that is. So you can see a family will typically could have hundreds of species in it. So the very earliest animals that really look like fishes, there's a couple of ones that I can't pronounce, mostly from China. These two early fish-like animals are from China. They're about an inch long. So they have a head, tail, gills, which are important because a lot of the anatomy of all vertebrates derive from gills. And they have a backbone or a cartilage backbone, a nocticord. So they go all the way back to the beginning of actively swimming multicellular life. So the next big step of fishes occurred during the Devonian, which is nicknamed the age of fish because the vertebrate fish dominated the ocean, and there was almost no land life at this time. There's some mosses and things and maybe some insects, but most of the life was still in the ocean, and we have the age of fishes. And a lot of all the major types of fishes that were around then are still around now, except for these spiny sharks. They died out. So jawless fishes are things like, oh golly, lampreys, thank you. Cartilaginous fishes are those that have cartilage instead of bones. That's sharks and rays and stuff like that. Ray fin fishes, of course, nowadays dominate most fisheries. They weren't always dominant, but they started way back in the Devonian. Lobe fin fishes are still around. There's not too many of them. Lungfishes and coelacanths are the two main ones that come to mind, but derived from lobe fins are all terrestrial animals. Any mammals, reptiles, amphibians, birds, those are all derived from lobe fins. In a very real sense, we are all lobe fins. So let's see. One of my favorite guys, Ray Troll. Just another friend, we're nothing to say. Just another friend. You are a little man, just like me. Just like Okay, so I have some Devonian fish, and I don't have this. Oh, I love these kind. This of course is not mine, unless I steal it. But I have a couple little lobe fins here. They're from Scotland, and one of these has wonderful little teeth on it. The whole jaw is about 3 millimeters long, not even that big. And then you have the placodont, the armored fish. Most of their bone was on their head to protect that, and they had I don't think they had bone in their backbone. I think they're cartilaginous. Anyway, lots of pieces in the back too. So fish conquered the land. In the Carboniferous, we started getting land vertebrates, which include amphibians by the end, but beginning we had lobe fins that became more and more land terrestrial. Tiktaalik was one that was found in the Devonian, but became much more its descendants became much more prominent in the Carboniferous. If you do the research, I mean, there's lots and lots of these animals that look something like this, you know, and they, as time goes on, they become more terrestrial. And they, you know, so there's lots of varieties. Tiktaalik is one you may have heard of because of the book that was written about them, Uriner fish and stuff. But it's not this kind of monster. It's that kind of monster. So that's the Carboniferous. We started seeing a lot more of the land animals, and all the other ones were still alive. Well, the placodonts had died out, evidently, at the end, around the end of the Devonian. Let's see, I don't. Now, in the Permian, which is right after the Carboniferous, there are some really weird type of fish that developed. If you've heard about the whorl-tooth shark, this is a small artist. This is a small version, an artist reproduction or artist idea of what the sharks might have looked like. They found these tooth whorls all around. They're first found in Russia in the Permian deposits there, but the best ones come from phosphate mines, a phosphoria formation over by Pocatello, and the University of Utah or University of Idaho has the world's best collection of these tooth whorls. But they couldn't figure out for more than 100 years the anatomy. Where was this tooth located? You know, fanciful people had them coming up like on the dorsal fins on the back or hanging from the lower jaw. Finally, they found a specimen that was good enough that they could CT scan it, find out where all the cartilage was in the jaw structure, and figured out they look something like this. Now, we have a YouTube. I don't know if we'll connect to it, but we'll see if we can.
There you go. How did the sharks close their mouths, or did they just not?
No, they did, and basically the roof of the mouth, you know, our hard palate and soft palate, you know, is flat. Theirs was shaped like this, and so that tooth whorl would come up into and basically squish up against the inside of the palate. So the palate was, you think of it as a sheath for the tooth. But how do you get teeth just right on the center line? You know, I mean, that's crazy. The teeth are bilateral; they're on each side. Anyway, okay. After the Triassic, of course, or I should say after the Permian, of course, we have the major extinction, the Permian Triassic extinction event, the Great Dying, as it's known, when when all sorts of stuff died out. If you look at the cartilaginous fish and the ray fin fish and the vertebrates, the number of families went way down during that extinction. But every extinction then has a silver lining. Things can proliferate later on into the openings in the ecology, the niches. And at that point, the ocean became dominated by cephalopods, not fishes. And cephalopods then were the dominant mass in the oceans till up into the end, toward the end of the Triassic, end of the Jurassic. But there was still fish around. They survived through. Here's some fish from the Cretaceous, which is of course Triassic, Jurassic, Cretaceous, the third middle era, the Mesozoic. You get the famous fish in a fish, Synthectinus. Yes, thank you. Which were tremendous predators. I have two early Cretaceous fish here. One is Vinictifer, which is this one here. One of those. And another one is, let me see, this one is Palamophloreus cylindricus. This specimen actually belongs to the Rice Museum. And I was really hoping that it was going to be a reptile, because this formation, where this is from the Santana Formation in Brazil, famous for its fish concretions. Very few land animals have ever been found in it, and this one sure looked like it was going to be a reptile. But it turns out it's a fish, and it's actually one of the earlier fishes known from the area. One of the first classified fish, I guess, you say. And those, yes, are fish teeth. So you can buy these online. There's some, at some time, the Brazilian government outlawed the export of these, but everybody kept doing it anyway. And I think they've relaxed that now.
I think there's still original slide. There must be two of them. So you're on this one. What's the difference between two and PowerPoint? This one?
You can just close one.
Tammy, is it on the news I fact in this slide now?
Two is gone.
Yes, it's on Xiphactinus.
You're not Tammy.
It's okay.
Just kidding.
Next slide.
I did, but
There we are. So this is my fish, and the one from the Rice Museum. Next. Okay, so the end Cretaceous extinction event killed off most of the cephalopods. There are still chambered nautiluses around, squids and octopuses, but all the ammonites and belemnites went away. And that opened up niches for the fish, particularly the ray fin fish, to expand again and take over the ocean again. And I have here a couple specimens of fish from after the age of dinosaurs. This is the Eocene, the Green River Formation, which is about 50 million years old. And they estimate, somebody estimated, I don't know who, that there's 4 to 5 of these fish fossils for every human alive on Earth today. So there's billions of these fish fossils there in basically Wyoming, western Wyoming. So I have a couple that I have collected and prepared here. Of course, these are the nice ones. It's amazing how many exploded fish and partial fish and just plain garbage there is in this formation. They also get other things in it. These are from giant inland, shallow inland seas or oceans. I'll get it right yet. Lakes. So next, and these are my fish here. The Myoplosis and the Ferridus.
Is that the trail that actually goes to that specimen?
It is. Yes. Yes. It's not a I collected and prepped this one, so I know that is it. It's kind of unfortunate it broke the way it did. You know, splitting it, and this piece comes up. Oh, well, maybe it's over here. And I went back and got the tail part. So it didn't originally come up together, but I managed to get enough to salvage a reasonable size fish.
The myoplosis on the left, is that one that's over here?
Yeah, that's this one.
So people online don't have scale to that, how big is that?
That's about 13 inches long. Something like that. And the other one's about the same size. I can,
They see the pictures, but it just to get a
here,
size.
does that give you a scale?
Sure. Yeah. If you guys are looking at the live video,
Yeah, there's a scale of them.
I presume that they can see that.
Okay, yeah, next. Now, I didn't bring the spike-tooth salmon fossils. I think you guys have probably all seen them before. They're back down at OMSI now. There is that one really nice specimen is on display in a special case as the tail end of the Tyrannosaur exhibit. We have other specimens in the paleo lab that our group dug up in 2023. So they're finished prep. They're sitting there in the lab. So we have them in the case. Those will stay there until the end of the other exhibit in September. And so next fall, they'll all go down to University of Oregon. And this specimen will be back in the paleo lab. So all of our hard work is paid off. We've got our fossils out showing. So these were for those who don't know about this species of salmon, this was a species of salmon that lived up to about 6.5 million years ago. They swam up rivers on the West Coast and spawned in the fresh water and died, just like modern salmon do, or modern West Coast salmon do. But they were 8 to 10 feet long, maybe even 12 feet long in some cases, 300, 500 pounds, just marvelous, marvelous big fish. They're unique in that they have 2 large teeth that stick out of the upper jaw. We now know that they stick out sideways. Originally thought they might have pointed down like a saber-toothed cat, but instead they're more like a warthog sticking out sideways. And so that's why I still refer to it as the saber-toothed salmon, but they're not. They're spike-tooth salmon. And in fact, if you look at this illustration here that Ray Troll did, you can see the teeth still pointing down there. That we didn't realize until the specimens that we collected in 2014 were prepped.
I don't know if Ray Troll's done this, and I'm gonna give him the idea if he hasn't. I can see him doing a Christmas card with reins on the spike teeth coming out, and somebody. That picture of the guy standing there, I think he would fit on the back and you just need to put reins on the spikes. I'm gonna tell him, so if you guys see that, you know where the idea is.
Anyway, it's great that the club, we've had the opportunity to go dig these up and prep them. There's a video, should be the next one, of me prepping it. No, no, this is the dig. This is, you might recognize some of those butts if you look closely. So this is what it looked like. For those of you who didn't dig, it's about a 50-foot cliff of gravel, and we're digging the salmon out of the sides of it, following in the ones that we dug in 2022. We dug a whole bunch of specimens, but there was a couple skulls, 3 skulls left that we went in 2023 and got them out. One was in 2 of them, 2 skulls, and a third backbone were in about a 400-pound lump of gravel that we pulled out in one piece, and I prepped in the lab. So that's what this is. This is actually 1 skull, 2 skulls, and there's 2 backbones there from 2 different animals. So 3 backbones from 3 animals, skulls from 2 animals in that cluster.
So quick question for you.
Yeah.
Could you tell from the strata how they were buried? That wouldn't be a ashfall, would it be?
No,
some
that-
river sediment that's.
Yes. So what I believe is going on here is this is a braided river. So there's only 2 ways that you get deposits in a river system. One is an alluvial fan, where a river is going out into a delta or a valley and filling it up. The other one is a braided river, which is when there's enough rock coming in the river, coming downstream from a real fragile source of rock, that is fills up the bottom of the valley of the river. And the river migrates back and forth very readily across the flat of the valley. And so this is a braided river system here. And what happened is very shortly after they spawned, I mean, we're talking days, if not hours, the river shifted and the gravel piled in on top of the carcasses before they had a chance to even get too decayed. You know, there's a little bit broken up, but still a lot of articulated bones and skulls in it.
So this wouldn't be where they were creating the reds or anything like that?
Yes, it probably was,
Could you
because it's
tell
all
from-
gravel.
Can you tell from the strata areas of rock where it's larger cobblestone? Because I would imagine the size of the rocks would be very consistent if they were right on a red.
This is, yeah, you never got there, but this is a little sand lens with gravel on both sides of it. And the gravel varies in size from thumbnail to fist to head. And about 7, so in the last 2 years, we've basically found 12 specimens. Well, since 2022, that makes 3 years. We found 12 specimens of these species, 7 of which were apparently in the same spawning event, because you can trace the sand lens through 7 of them. That's the stuff we dug up in 2022.
By the way, Hendricks, who's one of our younger members, just commented that he was there.
Yep.
Saber-tooth thing. So he's
I think that-
listening.
Yep.
Is there any idea whether you guys kind of going back
Hmm?
to look for more?
Well, I'll be going back there, you know, probably April or May looking for more, but I think we got probably most of the ones that are going to be visible unless something changes. There is the possibility that if we went in with a bulldozer, so this is a little talus slope at the bottom of the cliff, and it's flat out here. If we hired a local guy with a bulldozer and bulldoze that bottom off, the loose rocks that have fallen off that cliff in the last 60 years, that we might find some more exposed in the wall. But
There might be any more upwards.
there probably are, but they're hard to find. Hard to, you know,
And get to it.
we did find some, I did find some way up high. So yeah, there's a possibility they're up higher too, but how do you find them, you know? Might have to do that.